Hi guys, this is Safraz. Um, I hope that you guys are having quality sessions so far in this bootcamp with all the industry experts and MVPs speaking up from this platform. I am really honored that I have been provided the opportunity to present from this platform. The moderators have really done a fabulous job. The event has been turned out to be a great success. So let me provide you an introduction for myself. I am currently positioned as a technical solution architect with Experts Good Technologies Pakistan, and I have around good 8+ years of experience working in Dynamics CX practice. Today, I will be discussing about business events framework. What are the capabilities of the framework? How we can really customize the framework, and what things to be considered, and what are the do's and don'ts of the framework. So let's start the session. Let's dive in, and I would be stopping my camera feed at this point. And would be sharing my screen to you guys. So I have really divided this session into 4 parts. Uh, Firstly, I would be providing a generic overview of the framework. What are the capabilities of the business event framework? Why it is here? When to utilize it? What type and what kind of business events are there in the framework? In the second stage, we will discuss about how we can customize the framework and how we can write our custom events. And at the after that, we will discuss a little bit about the endpoints. We can also customize the endpoint that we will discuss. After that, I will try to demonstrate you how we can consume the events more precisely through Power Automate. So that will be a little demonstration. I will try to send a sample email notification by sending out a business event from finance and operation. Then we will have a Q&A session as usual. So let's see. So business event provides actually a mechanism that lets external system receive notification from finance and operation applications. In this way, the systems can perform business actions in response to the business events that got raised in the finance and operations. For example, hypothetically speaking, that you are posting an invoice in finance and operation, and on each every successful invoice got posted in finance and operation, you want to raise an event and send it out to an external system so that then it can launch its own process. That process could be anything. That process could be a creation of a new business document, or that process could be a launching a payment process, any kind of a business process that the external system will launch on behalf of the notification it will get received from the finance and operation. That is actually the use case of the business event framework. Is why business event frameworks have been came into existence in the first place. So business action that we perform in a Dynamics 365 that eventually raises a business event could be anything, could be a workflow action or could be a non-workflow action. Approval of purchase requisition is an example of a workflow action, whereas confirmation of a purchase order is an example of a non-workflow action. So both type of actions can generate business events that external system can use in integrations and notification scenarios. There are quite a few types of business events in the session that I will discuss later. First, let's see where we can find the business events in Dynamics CX app. So you can go to system administration module under setup. You will find uh, two links. One is business events catalog. The other is business event framework. Before moving forward, let me actually show you guys what I'm trying to say. So here let's see. So if you go to the system administration module, and Here under setup, you can find business events catalog and business events parameter. Business events catalog form actually gives you a full list of business events currently available in the instance that you can filter out on based on the category, based on the name, business event ID. It has a few tabs, for example, endpoint tabs. There you can see all the endpoints that you are attached to a particular business event, and you can see your active events. For example, in my case here, I have activated sales invoice posted business events so that I can demonstrate you the notification scenario later on in the session. Then you can see your errors, and on the active event you can see if they've occurred any exception messages that you can find here. So it's quite comprehensive. In the catalog tab, you can also view the payload that is by being part of the uh, event that you have selected. So there's represent all the information that the event will be passing out as part of the notification. You can also download the schema in JSON format that you can consume in the consumer side that I will discuss later. So the other form that is present for the business events is the parameters form, where here you can set your defaults, like how many number of times you want to retry a certain event if it gets failed, what could be the waiting time between each recursive retry, how many endpoints are allowed per event. These all you can uh, do here in the parameters form. So coming back to the presentation, there are quite a few types of business events present in the system. You can actually categorize it in four different types: application business events, workflow events, alerts based business events, and batch based business events. Application business events are merely business events that part of a certain process. For example, here I am showing you three business events that are part of code to cash process. Invoice created from a sales order is triggered when a user posts a sale order invoice. FreeText invoice posted triggers when a user posts a FreeText invoice. Payment posted triggered when a user posts a payment. So these all are part of the code to cash process. So application business events are those which are part of any particular business process. You can find full list on the documentation page, and you can also find it in the business event catalog form. The other type of events that are available is workflow-based business events. These are quite a few. These events will get fired based on how you progress with your workflow. For example, when you create a workflow, when a workflow is started, you can through the capability to raise a business event that a workflow gets started. Similarly, when a workflow gets completed, you can raise an event that workflow is completed. So this is called workflow type event. Similarly, you can raise an event when an individual element is started. For example, if there is a approval step in your workflow, so whenever that approval step is started, you can raise an event that okay, that particular element has been started. Similarly, there is an event that you can raise on a completion of an element that are called workflow element based events. Then you can raise a workflow event when an external task is started. Similarly, you can raise an event when a work item is created for a user. So there are quite a few types of workflow business events are available. You can find a comprehensive list in the business events catalog form. The other type of business events are batch-based business events. These are that caters your batch jobs, like when you can raise an event when batch job is started, finished, failed, or cancelled. Purpose is to these are actually you can use it to monitor and identify your uh, jobs jobs. Like you can identify long-running jobs. These are there just for the administration purposes. You can notify the administrator when a particular job is started, or you can notify uh, admins when a particular job is finished, or when a job is failing. When somebody has cancelled a job, so you can eventually you can effectively monitor your bad jobs through job-based business units, and you can notify, you can send out emails, and that are these kind of events are quite useful in the administration process. But, and then there are alerts. You can also configure your alerts to raise business events. There are two kinds of alerts: chain-based alerts and due date alerts. Both can be configured to send out event. And the process is fairly simple. You just need to check set alert with me and set external yes to in order to enable a certain alert, send a business event. Now let's comes toward the basic idea, the basic main idea of the session, that is the customizing part, how you can really customize the business events and when you should consider to customize the business event. The first question that when you are going to customize it, when you are gonna go to customize a business event, when you want to write a custom event, the first question to ask is what is a business event and what isn't a business event. In order to get an answer for this question, you must need to consider the intent. What is the intent behind capturing a business event? So the intent should be very clear. If you have a clear intent only, then you would be able to translate that into a good working event. And then only then you would be able to design a good sketch, a good approach for yourself. What is the reason for capturing the business event and how it would be used by the recipient? You need to have a very valid intent. What do I mean by valid intent? So now consider a scenario of a valid intent. I want to capture packing slip posting business event. What I want to do, I want to raise a notification out from D365 whenever a packing slip is being posted by a user. Purpose is Purpose is that I want to send that notification to an external system so that I can then create invoices or any other business documents or the payment process in that external system. So my purpose here is that I want to raise events on packing slip posting so that I can create a separate, I can launch a separate business process based on that events that is being generated for FinOps, so that I can then launch a separate process in external system. So that is a very valid reason and a very valid intent. The intent should not be to transfer the data. For the data transfer scenarios, you already have import, export, the data management framework is there. Even with the business event framework, you must try to keep the payload as minimum as possible. And then if you require more fields to feed into the external system, you should be using the data management framework in cohesion with the business event framework to pull out the relevant fields from the DST5. So the payload should always be kept minimum. So that I will discuss later in the session. So once you have established a valid intent, then comes the fidelity part. You need to consider what would be the best approach to capture the business event. What do I mean by approach? It's like you have two kind of captures available for the event framework. You can raise the event from a business logic level, and you can raise the event from the table level as well. You need to determine what suits best in your scenario. As a best practice, business logic level is always best to raise the event from there. From there, I will discuss it further. So in order to determine a good approach, you need to consider three things: how durable is the event, how targeted it is, and how noiseless it is. What is meant by durability? So the durability part comes into play. You see, if you are confirming a purchase order and you are sending out a purchase confirmation business unit out, the reception experts accepts and must trust that the purchase order was really confirmed. There shouldn't be any false positives, because now your external system would be launching a whole business process of its own based on the event it received from the 365 FinOps. So whatever that external system would be doing by trusting the financial operation that it has sent out a very genuine and valid in this event, like a purchase order confirmation. If you are sending a purchase order confirmation event, it was really happened in 65. So there shouldn't be any false positives. Then the event should be very targeted. There shouldn't be any generic events. So that the recipient do not have to filter out its particular use case, and then it has so it shouldn't be adding extra logic on the recipient side to filter out the actual use case for itself. So they must be designed to optimize the consumption. It should be easy as possible for the recipient to consume business events. Therefore, events must be as specific as possible and must be targeted to specific use cases. As I said, they must not be generic. Noiseless. What do I mean by noiseless? The design should include very little effort to filter out noise. The chosen approach must help guarantee that the business event is implemented in code at a very specific point from where you do not have to write any additional logic to filter out the noise. For example, if you are sending out a voice posting or tagging slip posting business event, you should raise that event from a very specific point from where you are sure that invoice has been posted, and now you do not have to clear out extra noise, and you don't have to implement extra logic to just gain the payload context. So the payload should be very clearly available to you at that point. Any additional logic that you mingle in in in, in at that point would have performance impact, and that is really not desirable. This framework is kind of a real-time framework. The recipient accept a real-time notification. So there's a chart that compares two captures, logic level capture and a table level capture. Both guarantees the durability part because both occurs in the transaction. But at a business logic level, uh, it's at a class level that your actually business logic has been residing. You can generate a very targeted business event, and that is not true in case of the if you are uh, writing at a lower level, if you are writing at a table level, or if you are overriding insert methods of the table to raise that event, it's it wouldn't be very targeted. A table can have the insert operations as part of too many of the business processes. A single table could have so many business processes. Processes could have an insert operation into that table. So then you have to implement an extra logic to just to clear out the noise and uh, just to get that relevant business operation and to raise that event in that relevant process is a bit of a hectic thing, and it would also have a performance impacts. Similarly, as I've discussed, it's easy to remain noiseless at the business logic level, and that is not the case true at the table level. One other thing is that at business logic level, you can very easily, uh, improve the quality of the payload, and you can you can have access to the, or you can easily you can easily assure that you have access to the all the payload fields, and that is not the case at the table level. You may need to write extra logic and context to get the context of the payload. So in the end, business event alert should be raised from the business logic level. That is the best place. Table level captures are not successful, and you have to do a lot of extra work, and it has its performance issues if you are doing at a table level. How we can implement a business event now? Once you have established a genuine intent, and then you have picked the right approach yourself, the rest of the process is fairly simple. You just need to build a contract, you need to build an event itself, and you need to find a good place to raise the event and the code. So there are merely three artifacts involved: two classes and one extension. Business event class that extends the business event base class. It supports constructing the business event, building the payload, and sending the business event out. The other class is business event contract that actually extends the business event contract class, and it defines the payload of the business event and allows for population of the contract, initialization of the contract at the runtime. So at this point, let me show you how you can implement simple packing slip posting business event. So see, you see, here I have two classes: packing slip posted business event, packing slip posted business event contract, and I have a extension of sales packing slip general post class. So let's first discuss what the contract is all about. As I have told you, it's extending business event contract, and it's just defining payload. So I have created three private variables to hold the state of sales ID, legal entity, and packing slip ID. So one other thing to consider at this point is that what we shouldn't be trying to do, we should be trying to do is to minimize the payload as possible as it could be. So what I would suggest that only if you are sending out, like in my case, if I am sending out a packing slip posting event, and I need to pass on the packing slip information to an external system, so I should be just minimizing the payload to the primary keys of the packing slip. Just only those fields I should be including into the payload from which I can clearly identify individual packing slip. The rest of the field, if they are required, then we can pull it up through data entities framework or the data import export framework easily. So here I have my constructor that is just returning me my object, new form. It's just initializing me the contract for me and returning its object. Contract object. Then here is the actual initialization method where I'm initializing sale ID and packing slip ID. Then I have a private void new method, new constructor. Then I have these two getters that are POM methods where I'm setting my sale order ID, packing slip ID, and the legal entity. So these are all regulated by data member attribute and business human data member attribute. The process is fairly simple. There are no additional complexities involved. Now let's look at the business event class. So the class itself is decorated by business events attribute, where I have defined the contract, and these two things are actually labels. This sets the name, and the other label is sets the description in the that would be shown in the business event catalog form. So as I've told you, it's just extending business event base class. I am at the POM method that is just returning me packing slip jar instance. Then I have a constructor which is returning static constructor which is returning me business event contract object, business event object. Then I have a new method that just gonna be called from the static method itself. Then I have a method that is building the contract for me and building the payload for me. It is decorated by replaceable true and replaceable true just to uh, provide the extensibility support if I want to extend it this in the future. So once I have constructed and developed these two classes, then I need to find a very good place to insert to raise my event from where I'm actually sending the event out, the notification out. So in my case, I've extended the sales technical general post class. There is the end post method available as the name suggested. Here the post has been ending. So after the system logic has been called, I'm just sending out my event out that okay, invoice has been posted, and here I have. And yes, you can already see that at this point I have the all the information of the payload is available to me. I do not have to write extra code to gain context into the payload. And that is not the same. If I would be writing it at a table level, then I would have to ensure that I would be sending it out and the invoice is actually and the packing slip is actually posted, and then I may need to do extra work to get the context of the payload. But here is not the case. I have simply passed the class packing slip to our object, which was already available as part uh, of the class, and I've just passed it to my method where it is getting initialized. So when I will build this, after successfully building this, I can clearly see here that I have created a new business event. Its name is packing slip posted business event. And here you can find, okay, okay. Yeah, here the description. This event is triggered when a user posts a order packing slip as part of the code to cash process. And these are the three fields that I have made part of the payload. The rest of them are the standard that will be part of each and every event that you will create. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to consume this particular event for the demonstration later in the session because I have subscription issues. What I would be doing, I would be utilizing other sales order event, that is invoice posting event, in order to generate a sample email when an invoice is being posted into the system. So let's carry on with the slides. So as I mentioned, code to send business event should be added at a very specific and appropriate point from where you can get full context of the payload and where you are sure that the process has been ended. All those documents that extend source document a common point for creating and sending a business events. To take advantage of this capability, you can you can implement an extension of the source document straight in process or get business event method and create and return the correct event-based extension type. Similarly, other framework also provide common point for sending business events. For example, Gus when voucher class is a post method so that you can utilize to send out business events related to the posting customer or vendors voucher. Uh, since business event is linked to the commit of the underlying transaction, so if the transaction is aborted, or for example, if you are in my posting an invoice and you incur some kind of an error, so then this event won't be sent out. That ensure the integrity of the framework. That ensure the integrity, like I have talked earlier in my session about the durability part. So that would ensure the durability. If you are assigning or sending out this event at an appropriate place in the transaction, so it ensures itself that that it is not being sending out if you have incurred some kind of an error. So now let's move towards the endpoints a little bit. of a discussion we should be doing on the endpoints at this point. So there are quite a few endpoints available, and then you can add your custom endpoints to the mix as well. So all the Azure messaging services are available as an endpoint. Then HTTPS and Microsoft Power Automate is also available as an endpoint. In some scenarios, you might require to attach multiple endpoints to a single business unit, and that is possible. That could be done for organized distribution of business units to the consumers. So that is possible, and could be done. For all those endpoints that are in Azure, that must reside in the customer's Azure subscription, and it will incur cost. So that is something to be considered. So if you want to customize any given endpoint, the process is fairly simple. There is a available business event endpoint. The first step, you need to add a custom uh, enumeration into the enum, and after that, you need to create a separate table for your endpoint, and then you need to extend that by business event endpoint table with the inheritance property being marked as yes, and extend property being marked to business event endpoint. After these two steps, you need to add a new adapter class, implement the iBusiness unit endpoint interface that must implement iBusiness events endpoint. It also be decorated with business events endpoint attribute, so you can find the relevant code snippet into the documentation, developer documentation that is available as part of Microsoft documentation. I've also attached the links at the end of the slides. So once you have created that interface class, you can easily extend the endpoint configuration form to add in your custom field and your custom endpoints. So that is fairly simple and doable. These are the sources and references from which I have extracted information for this session. At this point, let me show you guys how we can actually consume a business unit. So what I be gonna doing is I would try to raise a simple sales invoice posting event. So here I have written a custom flow, automate flow. So what I have done, I have added when a business event occurs trigger. Let me show you how that works really. When event. That is the trigger control that I have added. It provides you a set of fields that you can choose from. So I've selected my instance that from which I want to capture the event. Then I've selected the event category. Then I've selected the actual event with which I want to work. Then the legal entity. If I keep this field empty, I would be consuming events from every legal entity that is present in the instance. But in my case, I was just interested in the SMF legal entity. Then I've added a JSON console. Remember that I have told you earlier about this thing, download schema. From here, you can get the JSON schema for all the payloads that is available, so that I can simply download and then I can copy and paste into this control, and this will actually providing the values and context for the payload. After that, I can what I've done, I've written a condition. If invoice is not equal to null, then just shoot me an email. So once I've completed this flow, I am now able to consume the business event from finance and operation apps. And at this point, it has already created an endpoint for me, and it's marked the business event as activated. This is the endpoint that it has created. This is the URL for the Power Automate. And you can see here, this is the active event that is attached to this endpoint. You can also see it in the active events tab. So let's try invoice a sale order. I don't know why I'm not able to see my emails. So let's see if we can successfully raise a notification email for ourselves. Let me pick up something sweet. So let's see if I can invoice this sale order. Okay. So you see, I have gotten into some error. So at this point, it shouldn't be raising any kind of an event for me. And fortunately, it haven't did that. It haven't raised any event. Yeah, I haven't got any event. So let's try to pick up any other record that we can invoice. Okay, this is empty. I need to get something that would work for my scenario. Okay, let's try with this one. I believe I do not have sufficient inventory available. Okay, let's see what it is saying. So what I wanted to do with this, I wanted to add the dimension, location dimension. Okay, save it. Okay. Okay, this is something coming up straight from the load, so I must be collecting some other sales order that I can invoice. So let's see if I can pick something else for myself. Let's try to go with the delivered ones. There's only one deliver left, and there's not enough for the invoice. It will take some time. Already invoiced a lot of these while testing out. No way. Let's try with this one. Should work. I hope it should work. I'm really out of luck with this. Okay, okay. I'd reduce the quantity. So 25 wasn't available. What I can do, I can it. Yeah, do that, do that. Let's see if I can watch it now. Oh, let's change it to all. Let's see. I hope that it will work this time and I will be able to show what I want to show you guys. Ah, thank God. So finally, I was able to post the invoice, and I believe at this point I would must have an event with me. And here it is. So we have generated a sweet little notification, email notification via business event framework, and that's it, guys. That's it. Uh, I believe that this session was useful to you guys, and you have also been able to add in to your learning marathon that you are having in this boot camp. Thank you very much. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep your spirits high. Thank you.